And for more on President Obama's meeting with the three leaders from Central America, I was joined by Michael Shifter just a short time ago. He's the president of the Inter-American Dialogue. President Obama meeting the leaders of these three countries to stop the flow of children into the US. But what can they actually do? Do they have any control over the situation?
Well, it's this is a very difficult issue for them. Clearly, these flows are happening, and if they try to prevent that, they get a lot of political flack. Like President Obama is getting political flack in Washington, they get political flack in their countries. The capacity of these governments is very limited. They don't have the resources, they don't have the institutions to deal with these kind of pressures. Clearly, there's strong push factors because of the poverty and violence, the gangs, the organized crime. So there's a limited amount that these governments could do. The deal that's trying to be struck in Washington is that these countries, these governments will accept the return of some of these migrants, and in turn the United States will give them more support to try to strengthen their economies and protect their citizens.
What's the relationship like with these countries at the moment? Do they have any real will to help the US deal with something that is essentially a US problem right now?
It's a bitter pill for them because it is a US domestic problem. They see it as foreign policy. They're the closest neighbors of the United States. There's a long history. The two societies, Central America and the United States, are very interconnected because of demographics and economics. And so they think that they really deserve and should get greater support. The United States has a responsibility, and they're partly to blame for all of these problems. And so the United States is saying, well, we're partly to blame, but also you have a responsibility as well. They're trying to shift it back to them. You have to help us with our domestic politics, accept these migrants, and also do a better job and really step up in trying to tackle the major challenges in your own countries. So there's a bit of friction, there's a bit of tension. There are different priorities from these leaders with the United States.
Now, one of the proposals the US has made is to advertise in these countries that children will be sent back, an attempt to counter the rumours that started this migration. Right. How receptive do you think the families of these children who are risking their lives to come to the US will be? Will they believe this?
Well, I think it's you know, there are different ways that are being communicated, and a lot of the smugglers, the people who are organizing these outflows to the United States, tell the different story. So you have conflicting messages, and I think these public campaigns have some use on the margins, perhaps. And there have been reports that these flows have recently slowed in the last couple of weeks, so they may have helped somewhat, but they really have to counter. There's got a lot of skepticism, and they're being told a different story by those who are making a lot of money. It's a lucrative trade to send these children to the United States. So I think it could help on the margins a little bit, but it doesn't address the real problem.
Michael Shifter, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you. My pleasure.